let's look at another example of solving a system of linear equations. So to solve this system, remember in general what we can start out doing is choosing one equation and solving it for one of the variables and then plugging that into the other equation. But in this case, this second equation is already solved for x. So we can immediately substitute that into the second equation. So we get x is y squared, so y squared squared plus y squared equals 4 times x, which again is y squared. So I guess we can move everything to one side. We get y to the 4th minus 3y squared equals 0. Now, the equation that you get after this substitution, depending on what you started with, it might be very complicated. So this one is degree 4. We're kind of lucky in this particular case because this degree 4 polynomial factors. But it might not in general, and you might end up with something on your left-hand side that is even messier than a degree 4 polynomial. So this all just goes to show that nonlinear equations can actually be essentially impossible to solve exactly. For this particular example, we've lucked out because we can just factor. So we get y squared times, let's see, this is y squared minus 3. And we can even factor further, so this is y squared, this is y plus the square root of 3 times y minus the square root of 3. Okay, so this is showing us that there are 3 possibilities: y equals 0, y equals minus root 3, and y equals plus root 3. Okay, now we can use this second equation to get the corresponding x values. So x is 0 squared, so that's 0. And then for these two here, we get x is minus 3 squared, but that's, minus root 3 squared, and that's 3. And for this last one, root 3 squared is 3. So we get 3 solutions: 0, 0, 3 minus root 3, and 3 plus root 3. Okay. Well, there is more than one way to solve any particular system of equations. One thing that we could have done here is notice that this second equation tells us what y squared is. The only place y shows up in the first equation is as y squared, so we could actually plug x in there. So we get x squared. So here I'm starting over just to sort of demonstrate that if we use a different, or take a slightly different tack on the approach we take to the system, we still are going to get the same solutions. So plugging in, we can replace this y squared with just x. So we get y squared plus x equals 4x. This gives us x squared plus, minus 3x equals 0. And this factors, so this is x times x minus 3 equals 0. And so x is either 0 or x is minus 3, or x is plus 3, Notice that what we shouldn't do at this point is divide both sides by x, because if you divide both sides by x, you're going to lose the solution that x could be 0. So be careful about dividing by something if it's possible that that thing is 0. Okay, so if x is 0, now we need to find y. And remember, the relationship between x and y that we used at the beginning was that x is y squared. So when we plug x equals 0 into that, we get 0 equals y squared. So that means y is 0. And then when we use that same relationship for x equals 3, we get 3 equals y squared. And so we get y is plus or minus the square root of 3. Now, something that you have to be careful about is, we're getting all of these x and y values. You have to be careful to match them up correctly. So this y equals 0, that came from x equals 0. So this this value for y, where y is 0, it only goes with this value for x. Right? So that's giving us the point 0, 0. These two values for y, plus or minus root 3, those came from assuming that x is 3. So these two y values both go with that single x value. So that's giving us these 2 points here. But notice that this x value up here, the 0, doesn't go with the y values plus or minus root 3, and the x value 3 doesn't go with the y value 0. So be careful how you're pairing these up. If we accidentally paired them up incorrectly by saying x is 3 and y is 0, like this, this actually isn't a solution to the system of equations, right? If we plug this back into the original system, x squared plus y squared equals 4x, and x equals y squared. So if we checked if this point is a solution to the system of equations, we're going to get, let's see, plugging it into the first equation, we get 9 plus 0 equals 4 times 3, but that's not true, right? 9 isn't equal to 12. So this point is not a solution to the equation, even though this x value, 3, shows up in our solutions, and this y value, 0, shows up in our solutions. They show up, but not together, right? That's the key thing. So be careful when you're writing down all of your points that you don't just grab any old x and y values. Make sure that you're pairing them up correctly.